So welcome. We are doing a Friday afternoon session. Everyone is taking it easy, hopefully getting out, enjoying some spring weather, touching some grass, as they say. Just kind of staying away from some of the chaos and maybe even some of the FUD that's going on in the market right now. We're just seeing really low volumes, and not even necessarily ETH volume, because we still have some decent blur activity going on, but also the lack of buyers, sellers, and unique trader activity, which is really the more staggering measures that is going on right now. It feels like there's been a bit of a pause or hesitation or a bit of an exodus in some of the activity going on. Some of that is in relationship to alt season that's going on with the meme coins and specifically Pepe, which I'm sure many of us are watching. A few of us got involved in, and congrats to anyone that was able to be successful there. But that has driven some of the attention away from our space specifically, as well as increased gas fees, and those increased gas fees make things a little bit harder to make NFT trades and profits. And of course, it's never a good idea to try and sell into a lack of volume or move when the market is suffering a bit, because you're really going to just depress floors a lot faster than if you were to wait for volume. Now, the biggest question of this all is this the end? Or is this, a moment of continuation on trend, and a bit more of this bear cycle kind of getting to hopefully a point of capitulation and therefore some rebound. And that's the optimistic perspective on it. And we'll look into what's going on and where things are. But there's been some key loss of liquidity in some whales that have exited projects. Obviously, most notable is Franklin, who has sold off some apes and taken a bit of a more cautious, relaxed approach in some of the trading activity, etc. And so that's also kind of impacting things and impacting floors and overall volumes. Taking a look at some of the key metrics. So first off, we got volume. Like I said, OpenSea is down at basically 2-year lows prior to things exploding in 2021. So back to July levels. Now we do have Blur, and that helps produce volumes that are more reasonable and greater than what we saw in summer and September and the fall. So we're still above those levels, but even Blur has declined, and a lot of that activity is still related to farming, and that's some of my analysis that I want to take a look at is individual project farming and things like that to break it down on a metric basis there. So working on those and spinning up those various ones there. This trend line here is the ratios of buyers and sellers. This is my most valued metric. Very simple, but also looks at are we seeing more people, more unique wallets trying to sell versus buy? And in the bull market, that was very clearly more buyers than sellers. And at the start of the bear market, that metric flipped to below 1, and ever since we've been in a bear cycle. We got kind of close here early March. There's a bit of optimism, and volumes are there, and Blur and Blur Stimmy and all that kind of stuff made things kind of seem like they were on a bit of a rebound, but it appears to be a bit of maybe a bull trap in that scenario there. So this is the same thing, sellers and buyers, just breaking down the individual unique sellers and buyers. Now this is unique wallets across all platforms. So this is the very boiled down version of those, and you can see that they're just above 5K each individually, which is extremely low. 6,000 sellers and very close to that on buyers. I can't quite get that to click, but similar situation there. And here are the overall sales, and you can see this again volume declining. Now, of course, sales are often propped up by new mint activity, new projects, and there hasn't really been a creation of a lot of new projects recently. Free mints and all that kind of stuff haven't existed due to gas fees and a bit of a slowdown in the energy in the market. So that also plays into uh, the activity and the lack thereof. So this compares the marketplaces in terms of market share. You can see that Blur is holding about 75% market share. You can see the season 2 starting here on this red line, or sorry, this teal turquoise line. The red line there is actually the OpenSea fee cut. I should flip those around. They're backwards in terms of color coordination, but we're in a downward trend here for OpenSea in terms of market share. This is looking at unique traders, and this is actually almost a complete opposite flip of that, where you see that 70%, 5% of the unique wallets are actually on OpenSea still. That's kind of it's hovered at its lowest point where we got to about, they say, 58, 60%, but it's really always been a lot of the smaller collections, etc. The small trader, I think, still transact on OpenSea. I think that's gonna probably erode if this lack of volume persists. What's up, King C? Welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing. I think is the sentiment is nothing is going on. Dead market silence at the moment. Um, just doing a rundown. Probably a quiet afternoon. It's late Friday afternoon as well. Normally I try to do these even earlier. Of course, I was away last week as well for a birthday celebration, a little Vegas trip. So I'm back and at it, fighting off a little bit of a cold here. Going through a merger, finally closed through. So this month I've been dealing with work merger stuff related to our company being acquired by another company. So a lot of stuff going on for me personally. But yeah, the market is, as I like to say, dead. Um, uh,
How'd you make out in Vegas?
I don't gamble,
Oh,
so
so you probably made out better than most people.
yeah, exactly. I went for some food, went for some shopping,
Cool.
went for some shows, and it was good. So that was enjoyable. But back at it, you almost need a holiday from Vegas. It's so busy, lots of walking, lots of not sleeping. But yeah, it's good. But yeah, it's like it caught. I don't know if it was yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. On Twitter. By the way, Twitter's changed so much now; it doesn't even feel like the same app. I don't even follow my followers anymore. I just follow whoever they're recommending me, and I actually don't mind it, but it's different. It does drive maybe a bit of a different sentiment on Twitter. So old Musk there is flipping that app upside down, and I don't know if it's for better or worse. Um, I think there's a bit of a sentiment that maybe Twitter's part of the cause to some of this spiraling of NFT and crypto. I don't know because it seems like as anything negative news tends to drive more engagement, and as such maybe those type of tweets are spinning a little bit more. I'd be curious, but I don't know if that's a direct relationship to the sudden drop off in everything as we have right now. But I still want to try and believe that it's gas. Hopefully, causing some of the slowdown. But I don't know if that's all of it. But we can see here that the last week or so, from the 14th to the 21st here, it's just been a straight down decline. And if we look over a longer time horizon, in fact, I can grow this out a bit more to say, let's look at greater than a year. Actually, let's go way back. So we're going back 2 years on this, and you can see that we're now back to really levels before the summer of 2021 breakout. So that's a substantial reduction in active addresses. Of course, we have a much larger pool to be active from as well now, so it makes it even more kind of staggering. And it's kind of a continuation of an overall downward trend that you know slowed down going into December, and of course uh, propped up in season two Blur, and then we're back into resuming that downtrend really since January, February peak bull. So that plays into it all, and it's something to monitor, and hopefully we can find something else here that's gonna to knock that in a positive move. If not, then we grow, we adapt, and we figure out what's next to act on. What's up, Metaverse Goliath? Welcome. So unique buyers. This is kind of the chart that was floating around in a short time horizon, and it looked much more dramatic. I think whoever was looking at had that up was just the last month and a half. It was done on Dune. In fact, I think I have it here. So back to January. I don't know if this is the particular chart. Let me go back one. So unique users by Phil Source. So a bit of a positive bounce back here. I don't know if my data is reflecting it. I did have some quality issues from my data sources the last couple days. So good thing I checked here. I can't really tell. Maybe because I'm zoomed out so far as well, that impacts things. Sorry, I just double check what my normal zoom is here. 95. 181. Okay. So we have the bounce back on the 20th. I don't have the 21st in there yet. Let's see. So the 21st, still in progress as a day, is already higher than what we were yesterday. So the bounce back in a term of active users, etc., is there. So hopefully, a lot of the doom and gloom is really related to the spike in gas activity. So that's what I'm gonna go with, because that is a much more promising kind of look. But there's a lot of various Dune dashboards that are out there. Their data sources and quality are pretty good. Everything locks into Dune. You don't have the ability to pull it out and do additional analysis. So there is some drawbacks to it as a platform, but there are a lot of people that work on Dune, and every now and then one of these dashboards captures the attention of Twitter and kind of gets shared out there. So I kind of use it as a secondary reference point for some of the stuff that I do. And then daily new buyers. This is the one I used to look at a lot, and so just looking at new wallets making their first transaction. So kind of like unique buyers, but just new entrants into the space. Of course, with this, this can be created by someone that's active in the space, and probably, the majority of these are probably new wallets transacting from an existing person in the space, especially when you have a lot of high mint activity. Something that I did find interesting and worth noting is that there has been a bit of a move on X2Y2. Some sales and volume there. I think some of that. Actually, it doesn't highlight here. Maybe it's because I created another category. That was, right here in terms of market share. So X2Y2 is seeing some activity in there. A lot of that is just fee avoidance on some of these sales. So you can see some of these large sales actually occur over on X2Y2, and it gives them a little bit more increase in volume there. is what goes on there. So I'm going to continue to dive these metrics, look at WETH acceptance, maybe something like profitability by collection, and spin out some of these metrics on a larger scale here, and make them available, and then just try to drive some insights out of some of that kind of stuff. So if there's things that interest you, etc., do bring those forward and suggest them, and send them my way, or send me a message, or send a DM, or at me, because driving these insights into metrics is what helps pull out the trends, and where we can make some better decisions in terms of what we're looking at, collections and market wise. Blue chip index, we are obviously down, with collections being down a fair bit over the last couple of days here. Just again, lack of volume creates a bit of a panic for some people, and with that, more efforts put into to try to sell off it, and also we're seeing less blur liquidity with bids, and as such, that pulls the floors down a bit here as well. I'm gonna pause here in the general market overview. If anyone's got any questions, anything that you want me to talk about, bring that forward. If not, I'll just continue to drive through some of this stuff. Drink some coffee. So I discovered this new Starbucks drink here, cinnamon caramel cold brew, the cold foam. It is just, it's like dessert in a cup. It's so good. I love it. Captains is the lone major or blue chip project that is up. Of course, this is my snapshot, so looking day over day. So comparing to Blur, other spots there, it could show different results. Clonex is flat. Azuki's flat. Azuki's been one of the stronger projects here recently. Clonex has been on a pretty staggering decline. I was looking at their chart last night, and it's just a straight diagonal line going downward. With them, Pudgy Penguins has been retracing from their all-time highs. Punks and Apes, both at about 1%. I think some of the collections recently are down 5 to 10% for even the blue chips here. Moonbirds is suffering the most, and Kennel Club. If this marks the local bottom here, often these moments of extreme outlier in terms of volume, data, price drops, etc., provide an excellent entry opportunity. So if there's projects that you are looking at, it is a point of consideration. Also, we've had this kind of spin in crypto where ETH has been on a trajectory of running up. As such, that typically results in a little bit of depression in NFT floor prices. So people are willing to sell for less as ETH is worth more to get the same amount. There is a natural upward USD value increase on NFTs, but it's not a one-for-one in terms of what we see for the value of NFTs. And so when you get a sharp decline like that, this provides an instant opportunity to buy NFTs at a reduced price. Now, again, not a lot of action and activity here. Is some of these charts have been a little bit more staggering lately, but if there's projects that you're on the sideline, etc., I would strongly consider bids, getting bids out there, WETH offers, etc., if you're looking for them, because we could be in a local low here. Just looking at some of the rebounds here. The overall general trend, though, however, is a continuation of a downtrend long term for NFTs, and the best way to kind of look at that is through this market volume chart here. Take it back another 200 days. You can kind of see here that this trend um, is pretty consistent, and then you get blur farming kicking off, and that's where it looks like we bucked the trend, but it's been a consistent downtrend since April, May, and going throughout. So something to be aware of in terms of overall floor prices moving forward. So a bit of caution with a recommendation that that there are probably some opportunities out there in most collections. To be honest. Captains is the really the star out of the blue chips. Azuki as well has performed well recently. And then been working on producing capturing both a lot of floor data, and then with that, producing the ability to chart out any NFT collection in a couple different ways, either indexing or floor price, and allowing the ability to look at it, and then also being able to produce some trend lines on here as well. So working on these, adding them in. I've had them on a separate Google Docs, adding them into the daily detail. Daily detail isn't editable by anyone but myself, so I'm not sure if you went into this, you'd be able to change this particular filter. But I think I might look to produce a version that is accessible publicly, and in that way, it's a tool that's available that way. Clonex was the one that is probably the most staggering here, looking all the way back to October. And in fact, I think I just added in more data, so I want to look at a longer time horizon here. If you want to bear with me. Let me think. No, not this one. Yeah. Not sure how far I can only grab about 90 days at a time out of my query for it to be able to auto populate. So I have to separate into multiple. Somewhere in July it started. Oh, actually, you can see here this 8.64 running right there. What is up, C4? Welcome. Hi, how's it going, Tommy? All right. Okay, so let's take a look at a more expanded look on the floor price. So now we have Clonex not on a total straight line down, diagonal line down. This goes back to July, which is if I were to measure kind of the peak lows, were really, um, or at least volume lows were through October and November kind of range, in a lot of collections. So we'll take a look at some other ones here. Moonbirds, which has been on kind of a diagonal line down as well. Doodles. Punks has only seen it recently, and that's, uh, possibly Blur related. This Captain started here in January. So yeah, that's November was kind of your kind of lowest range for some collections, and then more recently here the latest slide. But latest slide was a lot to do with the run in ETH, and then um, and then it's this last week that has been kind of a a bit of a more horrendous hit. Zuki about the only one that looks super consistent and pretty good. Uh, and I don't know if that run's going to persist all the way through to the Vegas event, but they're the one collection. Well, them and Captains seem to have the most strength at the moment. And then on an index basis here as well. With that, although this index doesn't look like it's kicking off at this correct spot there. I'll have to look, make sure I have this situated correctly. Yeah. That is kind of my rundown on everything. I would like to open it up, offer up some time for anyone who has any questions, thoughts, etc., or anything that you want to look at. If not, I'm just going to go through and do a general look and review. A bit surprised at the lack of strength in D-Gods. I think a lot of people expected them maybe to perform a bit better, although I guess in relationship to everything else, it's hard to show that much strength. So a lot of lows across the board here. Mutant as low as 9.5, since rebounded a bit. Egos is just not finding any support on the way down here on this long-term kind of downward trend. Dogmaster, I saw you typing earlier. I thought you were going to ask a question. Any questions from those that are here? Be much appreciated. Or things that you want to talk about. There you are, Dogmaster. I see it. Cheers, appreciate it. That's fair. Hopefully, it's good and informative. Um, key levels to watch here. Key elements to watch is just the number of active wallets. I think that's gonna kind of tell how things are producing and where we're situated within the overall market. And curious to see how this blur farming activity kind of as it fades. With crypto and blur token down and a lot of things that are at play right now. Um, it's worth noting and watching. But like I said, I'm gonna try and spend some time on pulling in the volume of WETH trades per collection, specifically Blur trades, but also OpenSea, and look at that, as well as if I can take a look at, like say, holder duration or percentage of unique NFTs traded by collection, things like that to get a better understanding. I think some of that's been dug into by others, but just to be able to pull in those overall trends to take a look on a collection basis and see where things are at, because I think there's a bit of a tell when you look at that. So if you see for instance a larger volume of say unique holders that are selling on a bit of a downtrend, then that's probably your most bearish indicator for a collection. The other side of it is seeing a really heavy persistence of volume for blur farmers on one of the larger collections. I think that's also puts a bit of floor pressure on collections as well. And then the strongest, which is really what Azuki's going through right now, is a larger volume of longer term acquisitions for the NFT. So just being able to kind of separate or categorize collections in doing that. There's a lot of data that gets processed in doing a query like that. So my tool is Flipside. So when you're going through, there's a lot of calculation and efforts that are required to be able to figure out some of those metrics. I spent a fair bit of time here this last week, just kind of streamlining some of these queries and making them a little bit more effective, efficient, and so hopefully that'll allow me to build some more complex ones. Can't get them too complex, otherwise it does result in the script timing out, and then I can't get an auto refresh. So, for instance, the one I use for calculating sharp wallet activity, that one's been struggling and failing here a little bit more recently. I tried to include blur, and ever since trying to add in blur, it's kind of struggled. So I might have to revisit that one, but it's processing quite a bit because it has to look at the profitability of holders and what those holders are doing. So it does handle a pretty substantial amount of data in doing that. It's not super efficient. So I can't even see that script right now. Right here, sharp wallet activity. Yeah, so last time I ran it, it timed out. Sometimes these timeouts happen just because Flipside is seeing a bit of volume, but their dashboards and whatnot don't. They're not as clear as they used to be in the past, where I could look at them on a quick glance and see if one is timed out and not updating. The only way I can kind of look at that is if I'm, you know, using this dashboard here and seeing something that's not updated, and then going in there and going in because it'll stay stagnant. And this one's a little easier right now because there's a bit of lack of data, so I know this hasn't changed, but sometimes this all looks the same to me all the time, and then I don't pick that out. So, but yeah, that is mostly what I had to cover. If there isn't any questions, then we will cut it, and I'll post up the video of this stream, and then continue back to the grind on working on some of the data and analysis and kind of presenting. I do the daily updates. Try to be present with the daily updates as best as possible to try and give a take on some of the news articles or share the ones that I think are most valuable. So if you're not catching those or reading those, I think they're a pretty helpful short summary of what's going on, and then share a useful chart. And then I also have my key metrics, unique buyers that we've been sharing daily here for the last couple weeks. This has probably been the most staggering metric over the last week, and a lot of people have caught attention to it. Volume is kind of a little bit more blurry, if you will, pun intended, with everything that's going on with blur. But we share those, and then some top sales. The top sales are tough because you see the same collections all the time. So I try to, when I can, filter down to look at some other collections and their top sales. But there's a lot of time and effort that goes into sorting through that. But I get that through NFT Go, and they have a top sales page here that I scroll through and look at and pick out which ones seem to be the most interesting. Hoodie and the Zuki here, a couple of big sales that stand out, but it's often the same collections that are in there, and then you'll get some interesting wash type activities that can come in depending on, and those are a little harder to pick out sometimes, but it's also kind of helpful for me to look at it and say, okay, here's a collection I need to exclude from my data, because I try to keep all of that activity out of my data, so it's as useful as possible. But yeah, that's what I'm going to work on now, is work on sending out the daily, and I will send that out and post up the video here shortly as well. I I haven't got the streams out as regularly recently. Again, like I said, some stuff going on with my 9 to 5 and a bit of a trip. So we'll schedule one here for earlier next week, and then probably Friday as well. I think we can try and get back to doing possibly 2 streams a week here, especially if they're in this 45 minutes to an hour range, and go through and be available for questions and discussions. If not, just go through what's going on and take it from there. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll do this again soon. And thanks for tuning in.